Ladies and gentlemen, the title of this video is Does Size Matter? Enter in Exhibit A. Doo-doot, 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 doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Oh, goodness. Let me stop clowning. Okay. And let's get our intro off the ground right. Hello, my little lovebirds. TonyaTko here. And you see today we have a very out of the ordinary topic. And today's topic for discussion is, does size matter? I'm gonna stop clowning. Okay, the title of today's video is Does Size Matter? I'd love to add an air of levity to this because this is a very serious topic. So to start off, I've created a demonstration for the men. Does size matter? Well, you tell me. Does it? Okay. All right, let's start again. Okay. All right. TonyaTko here. Today is very topic serious. Listen, let's just get right into the video. All right. I first wanted to start off by saying that this is a topic that men ask a lot of. You know, men have a large depth of insecurity about this particular topic, and so I'm not here to assuage those feelings. I'm actually here to give some background, some scientific information, as well as information that I've gathered from other women. But to start off, this video is sponsored by my company, TKO Skin. For those of you who don't know, I sell skincare products. I specialize in helping women feel better naked. So if you go over to my website, tkoskin.com, you'll find all of my products solve a problem. You'll find a plethora of products that, oh my goodness, let me move this frontward a little bit. You'll find a plethora of products that help women feel confident naked. So if you want to have really good sex, it starts off by a woman feeling good in her own skin. So my products solve problems from stretch marks to even when you shave, making sure that you don't get any razor bumps. So go over to tkoskin.com. I'll have all of the links below. And especially if you want your girl to have beautiful skin like mine, because I do not have on foundation. And I'll show you my white glove test right before we get into the video. See? How you like them apples? Well, not those apples, different apples. Okay, let's get into the video now. You guys ready? Are you ready? Let me fix my corset. There we go. I gotta get my airbags pumped up, you know, keep them pumped. All right, so listen. The reason why I have on this getup today, not only because I look fabulous in it, but because I wanted to make a very real and very physical demonstration, because you know they say men are very physical characters. So I wanted you to see firsthand, and I'm going to show you a little something towards the, not too far along into the video, I'm going to show you something. Number one, a certain number of men are going to be aroused by looking at me in this way. But why will they be aroused? And when we start talking about why size matters, I want you to just take a really good look at me. Okay. I'm sure you've had enough by now. Okay, so why does the size of my female parts matter in terms of igniting that sexual arousal in a man? Not only does my skin look very soft, but my breasts are very plumped up, I have the long hair on, etc. Let's talk about sexual selection first of all. Before, long ago, back in the days, before we had ID cards, and I guess long before people even understood 365 days equaled a year, people were still having sex and copulating and reproducing populating. But how is it that a man would know when a woman or a girl is fertile, when a girl becomes a woman and she's fertile and ready to engage in population, in populating the earth and copulation and being able to actually produce offspring? They would look for physical cues. Now, in terms of choosing a mate, men would look for things like fertility, youth, beauty. What were some of the things that would indicate whether or not a girl was fertile? One of those things was perky bosoms. Even the size of the bosom would be an indicator that this young girl is now ready. You know, once puberty hits and the girl starts to grow her bumps, the larger the breast, the more fertile she was thought to be. In some cultures, the wider the hips. As you see, waist to hip ratio. Once her waist starts to pull in and her hips start to grow out, she's thought to be fertile at that point. And that's not too far from the truth, because it's puberty that sends a girl through those changes into a woman. Now, also, another thing, they look for health. Long, shiny hair, a great populace of the earth, their culture of women have long hair. When changes in estrogen happen, the hair becomes more dull. If you notice, older women tend to cut their hair. But long, shiny hair is also an indicator of youth. Youth is an indicator of fertility. Long, shiny hair then becomes beautiful. In some cultures, bigger breast makes a woman more desirable. In other cultures, bigger buttocks. But either way, they're looking for different characteristics that are going to indicate that this woman is fertile. Now, this is it's purely based off of carnal desire alone. So, and I wanted to make this very clear example for guys out there. Okay. Now, you may see me like this, and this may be an image that may be very arousing to you, because you see that and you're like, oh, this woman is bustling with fertility. I'd like to deposit my seed, right? Or so forth, right? But you have to understand that the way women think and the way men think are very different. For a woman, the repercussions of sex are a lot greater than the repercussive actions that a man ensues. For a woman, there's a different parental investment, because the woman then may have to invest 9 months of her life into carrying this offspring. Not only that, to bearing the offspring and then being responsible for the upbringing of the offspring, you know, long before there were marriages, etc., etc. You know, a woman would have to be more selective about who it is that she let into her realm. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I want you to look at this example and look at and think about the level of just pure physical desire that you feel, without knowing anything about me, without knowing what I have to say, anything about my personality or whatnot. Just physically alone, you may have an inclination of wanting to get to another level, right? But will these things stop a person from wanting to be with another person? Will the lack of these attributes, for example, if I didn't have this long hair, would that disqualify me as a potential or future mate? Also, if I went down to my natural cup size and I took off this push-up, let me get this thing off. Oh, and I took this off. Excuse me, I couldn't reach the things in the back. It was too risky. And I took that off and went down to my natural cup size. Would this be something that would deter people and say, well, you know, she's not as buxom as I thought as she once was? The more you get to know a person and the more you get to know about them and the more you care about them, the less important those physical things are that attracted you to them in the first place become, or what attracted you to another person, depending on who that person is on the inside. I want to talk about women and what it is that attracts women, and why and how size matters to women. Okay, some of the things that women look for in men are virility, power, fortitude. Some of these things are determined by a larger body, being taller. Some women mistake, you know, a larger body, being taller, etc., for being able to be a better protector, being someone that is able to protect her and the offspring. So for women, penis alone, the size of penis alone is not going to determine whether or not this person will be able to protect her and the children. Let's talk about the shape and function of a penis. Okay, I'm gonna bring out my Wii remote again. This is the Wii remote, and I chose this Wii remote because it has a bulbous head or a larger head, much like the male penis. And I wanted to use this as an example. Evolutionary biologists have come to the researchive conclusion that the male penis serves the purpose of being a sort of plunger. A plunger and a scraper. For example, the penis slides into the vagina, right? And then this under part of the head, when it's sliding back out, it's supposedly supposed to pull, at the shape of it, is supposedly supposed to pull out competitor semen. So long back in the evolutionary days, the purpose of a larger penis was, one, to be able to plunge out and scrape out competitor semen, and to be long enough to be right up there on the cervix so that when he ejaculated, his semen would be the one that gets right into the vaginal opening, or rather into the cervical opening. Not only that, the larger the penis, the more area it fills inside of the vagina, so it's able to press on to more surface area in the vagina, increasing the likelihood of orgasm. When the larger penis enters the vagina, increasing the likelihood of orgasm. Upon orgasm, the vaginal canal begins to spasm, causing a simultaneous orgasm on the man, pulling his semen up and opening up the cervix so that his semen can get in. So from a woman's point of view, you can see how natural selection and the largeness of a penis really doesn't, I'm not going to say it doesn't, I mean, for orgasmic purposes, it benefits her, but we can see that penis size is something that, oh goodness, penis size is something that men generally are most concerned about. I'm going to grab the door and be right back. Oh wait, I got to put something on. And I am back. And as I was saying, larger penis size is something that, as we can see from a biological standpoint, benefited the man for being a transportation device for his DNA to be able to get where it needed to be, and also scrape out the DNA of competitors who he, I guess, didn't want to be in that area. So let's move forward. Though we are an industrialized society, we still have primitive urges, as you could see from my demonstration in the beginning part of the video, and as you can also as you can also see from, and let me say this. Part of the reason that I'm doing this video is because I get asked this question a lot, and I wanted to urge men to please not ask me this question in private, and I'm going to tell you why. I get men who come to me and they ask me what is it that I like, etc., etc. Part of the reason that I'm doing this video is because when I was in high school, it was Earth Day, and I wore this silk outfit, and it was like a pair of culottes or something, and I don't think I ever looked good in silk, first of all, and I kept asking people what they thought of my outfit, and there was a part of me that didn't really think that the outfit complimented my body, and everybody was like, oh no, it's fine, and I thought that everybody was lying, you know. And it wasn't until I, you know, came across a person that I felt gave me their honest opinion that I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe, you know, silk is not very complimentary for me. And so it was that nagging feeling that perhaps I didn't really look very good that you know, that prompted me to just keep asking other people. So I want to urge the men, please don't write to me privately and ask me what my preference is, because each woman is different, and we're going going to talk about this a little later in the video, everybody's body is built differently. Much like your penis has a different size on the outside, a woman's vaginal canal has a different size on the inside. And it's not through stretching or some other penis stretching it out that makes the vagina larger. Everybody has a different anatomical makeup. And you have to find a person that fits with you. So what works for me and what I need for my particular body on the inside is going to be different than what another woman needs. Every woman is going to have her own preference. So you're going to have to meet up with a woman and, you know, communicate and try things out and see how you guys work together, whether your penis is large or small. You know, you never know, you might be a perfect fit for that person. So please don't write to me asking me my preference. Please don't write to me sending me your penis pictures asking me to judge them. Please don't write to me telling me what it is that you like sexually and all. I don't need to hear that. That's something that you discuss personally with your mate. So now that I got that out of the way, let's continue. In terms of sexual selection and a connection that is just purely physical, we're going to talk about the differences between what it is that men want and what it is that women want. In order for a man to want to copulate and mate with a person, he may look for a person who is arousing to him physically with the big butt, the big breast, or whatever nice parts it is that he finds particularly arousing, a nice smell, somebody who's willing to have sex. As a matter of fact, the type of person that a man, stupidity is an asset for a woman when a man is just basically to mate with. Stupidity is an asset for her. He actually wants somebody who's just too dodo birdish to say no or to have any objections or to recognize his game, you know. And then we'll talk about the converse of that when he's looking for a life partner. So with a woman, when she's looking for just something physically, you know, she's looking for somebody who she thinks will be able to handle his business, to dominate in the bedroom. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I don't know, but some people learn the hard way that a big penis does not necessarily mean domination in the bedroom, and a small penis does not necessarily mean that he's going to be, you know, a wimp or pushover in the bedroom. So when a woman is just basically just looking for sex, she may at first, you know, think, oh, the bigger the better. But then after she tries that, she may realize that, you know, maybe this person didn't care about her enough to make sure that she got satisfied, or maybe you didn't get her moist enough to be able to accept his penis. So those
could be some other issues. Number one, 75%, well, I don't know if it's 75, but it's more than 70% of women have never had an orgasm, so they're faking them. So, so larger penis and things of that nature are going to be secondary on the list when it comes down to things that are going to actually work to get her off, and that's going to be a considerate partner, somebody who's interested in her pleasure, somebody who is familiar with his body, who's willing to get familiar with her body. Also, when it comes to larger size penis, there is pleasure, let me say that again, there is pleasure in the pain of the stretch. If she is well lubricated, there's nothing pleasurable about the ripping sensation of a penis entering an unready vagina. So, but for a ready vagina, there could be pleasure in the pain of having that area filled up, having certain caverns of the walls hit, having depths gone to that have never been gone to before. There could be pleasure in that. But is the best sex mate the best life mate? And then we're going to go on the flip side and we're going to talk about what it is that people look for when they're ready to settle down. For men, they look for somebody who's loyal, faithful, somebody who's going to be a good mother, somebody who's going to be a good partner, somebody who's going to be there for them, somebody who is smart. So now this is completely, and I want you to think about the way I looked in the beginning of the video with the big breasts. Yes, that may be somebody that you may want to mate with, but are the big breasts and the long hair and the fat booty, are those going to be indicators of whether or not this person is going to be there for you through thick and thin?
If anything, those attributes could limit the chances of you even knowing, well, back in the days before there were DNA tests, limiting the chances of you even knowing whether or not the child is really yours. So, you know, the things that would draw you to a person to want to have sex with them are going to be different than the things that would draw you to want to settle down with a person. So men are actually going to look for women who are smart, who can handle their business, who know how to handle money financially, etc. Well, the smart guys look for women who are smart. The ones who are shallow and still chasing, they end up in a whole heap of problems later on if all they're looking for is this on the outside. Because like I said, this on the outside, not only on the front side does it not indicate whether or not this person is going to be a good life partner. On the flip side, for a woman, a large penis definitely does not indicate whether or not a person is going to be a good life partner. A large penis does not indicate whether or not that person is going to be there for her. So let's talk about the things that a woman looks for when she's getting ready to settle down. They're looking for a person with the greatest the person who's going to give the greatest parental investment, somebody who's going to protect her and her offspring. Now, depending on where she is and how she's grown up, that protection could come in the means of financial protection, making sure that they are living in the suburbs or at least living outside of the realm of danger. Depending on where she is, maybe a larger body, ability to fight, ability to fire a pistol or whatnot, could be what it is that takes to protect her and her offspring in that situation. So that's what she's going to be looking for. She's also going to be looking for somebody who's faithful and will not diversify the investment that is there for her and her children. They're going to, and I want to say this as a caveat, there are going to be a certain number of women who are going to come to the video, see my bosom, and become really angry, because a woman who is sexual is a direct threat to another woman's investment, because women have a general idea of how men are. So in order to protect what it is that she has to be very fearful of women who are sexual, appear easy or whatnot, because she doesn't want her man to stray. Not only not stray for the moment, but she doesn't want him to produce offspring outside of her home and then have to diversify the resources to other children. So a woman who looks sexual to them is a huge threat, something to be avoided, something to be lambasted and bashed. So look out I want you to not only look out in the comments for the angry men who are like, shut up. You know, those are the ones who are experiencing some problems that, you know, they're experiencing some problems that they're angry about. And the women who are like, cover up, you know, those are the ones who are also experiencing some insecurities of their own. These are mine. I show them if I want. Okay, listen. If they were yours, listen, you do whatever you want with yours. I do what I want with mine. Okay, listen. Back to the video. Okay, so a woman is going to look for a man who's going to be faithful to her and not diversify the resources. She's also going to be looking for someone who's healthy, someone who's going to be able to stay around and be able to be there for her and the children. So so that definitely matters. And she's also going to look for someone who's intelligent, who's smart, who can handle his business, who has street smarts, who's ambitious, things of those nature. So as you can see, the things that would attract a person to a person physically are going to be a lot different than the things that would attract them to them for long term. So I wanted to tell you guys, indiscriminately, most definitely, there's more than just penis size to attract a woman. This is why women are not particularly aroused by penis pictures. Like I'm saying, please don't send me penis pictures. I got so many of them from the last video, and I don't like them. I don't want them. And part of the reason is that, like I said, for women, the investment that a woman, sex has greater repercussive downfall for a woman than for a man. You know, there could be heartbreak, disease, pregnancy, a whole host of other things that come along with that. So if you really want to arouse a woman, rather than sending her, I mean, you would do better sending her a picture of you by a nice car or with a nice suit on, some money, showing that you're gonna help her with her life. That you're gonna treat her like a princess and have the resources to make sure that her children are not gonna be dirty with stuck Kool-Aid on their face and you know what I mean? So take a picture of you holding a baby, your niece or nephew, taking feeding them or something. That would be more arousing. Unless, of course, the woman is going through her sexual peak and all she's interested in is penis anyway. So let's get back to the list. Let's get back to the list. So definitely, there's going to be more important than just penis size. Oh, and I wanted to also make this brief caveat that in terms of, your prowess and your physical beauty or your physical handsomeness and the largeness of your penis and all this other stuff, women have a general idea that, and men tell me whether or not this is wrong. For the most part, for a man, the more options he has, the more he exercises those options. So I read once that a man is only as faithful as his options. I think men have a greater difficulty with temptation than women do because of the general difference between men and women and the sex cells. How the male of a species is the one that has the smaller, more abundant sex organs, whereas the female of the species is the one that has the larger, fewer sex cells. Not sex organs, sex cells. So a man, his biological urgings is to spread far and wide, whereas a woman's biological urgings are to get the best mate for her few eggs. So so in terms of, the outward desirability of a man, that can actually be a deterrent to a woman. If a woman feels that a man has, this gigantic penis that all these other women are going to want, that could actually deter her from wanting to be with him for fear that he's going to be spreading his Johnson hither and thither. So so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish off the video. For women, we know that men are very physical creatures. Women are very different. So because, and when you think about size mattering to a woman, you're thinking about it from a man's point of view. And you have to think about it from a woman's point of view. Use a lot of the things that I told you in this video about what it is that drives a woman biologically. And just think, women are interested in men who are going to make the greatest parental investment, who are going to be there for them, who are going to take care of them and the offspring, who are going to make sure that she's all right, who's going to look out for her. Do you hear someone knocking? Oh, so much distractions for the video. I wonder if people can hear me through the walls. Then they're like, knock, knock. No. Okay, I'm trying to finish up the video. Okay. So for a woman, things like a stable job, things like a job or you having health benefits, and this is why men in uniform have generally been very attractive to women, because the income is steady, the health benefits are there, he's a stable man, he's trusted by people, he's in a position of authority or in a position of power, he has a long-standing record, etc. Somebody who's also kind and caring, someone who's intelligent, someone who is a diamond in the rough, somebody not too attractive but not too unattractive because she wants to keep him to herself. So finally, to finish off this video, does size matter? And I'm going to say yes, it does. But when does it matter? It matters only when that union is purely physical. For example, if you are not well endowed, going around, trying to have a whole bunch of, one night stands, may be devastating for your ego. And the reason why it may be devastating for your ego, because that woman is looking to climax. If you don't make her climax, she may hurt your feelings. She doesn't know you and she doesn't care about you. You may get your feelings hurt. So if you're going to bring it, you need to be bringing it, right? For the most part, the women that I interviewed on both Facebook and the women who input their information on YouTube, they indicated that if they cared about a man, that his penis size would matter less to her than other things, like some of the things that I mentioned, like him being willing to take care of her sexually, learn about her, be there for her, etc., etc. Let me say this as a final point that I almost forgot to mention because I didn't have it in my notes. Think about this. When it comes to does size matter, when it comes to a woman and how she feels about a person emotionally, please remember that there are a slew, a plethora, a bevy of lesbian women who are in successful, fulfilling relationships with other women who do not have penises and who satisfy them sexually to the utmost. So I just want you to think about that. No matter what size your penis is, if a woman cares about you, she is going to love you regardless. Women have this thing called oxytocin, which binds them to their mate. So much like how whether or not my breasts were all pumped up or a little bit flatter, whether or not that would deter you from wanting to settle down with a person like me is much like with a woman. A woman is not going to disqualify you because because your penis is smaller than some other penis she may have had. The biggest penis may not be the best partner. She may have gotten her heart broken by someone with a really big penis or not ever climax. But you who have the equipment that you have, you know, working with the oral, working with toys, working with vibrators, trying different things, different positions. I want to do an entire video for men with smaller penises about different things that you can do to satisfy your partner. So if you care to comment below about some of the things that you may have done, or women, some of the things that you may have had done with or to you, if you can answer that below. So, does size matter for a woman who's purely interested in sex? Yes. But for a person who's interested in you as a person or interested in long term, not so much, unless the penis is too big or too small. Too big where it hurts too much, or too small where she can't feel it at all. And then remember the lesbian caveat. So, and then you know, I don't know what to say. I wish I could find a way to just say, you know. And then there are also Kegel exercises that, you know, that a woman can do to help her be able to squeeze her muscles around a penis of different sizes. You know, some people were not meant to be together physically. They're not compatible, either for just too much or too little. And, you know, people always wonder about my personal experience. And I will say that I've had a penis on the large end of the spectrum. You know what? Let me show. I just want to, you know, because I hear people talking about they need 12 and 13 inches. I want to show you what 13 inches looks like. This right here, which is my this is my Cuisinart blender. This right here is 14 inches. Now, tell me really, what person is going to say that they need this? Honestly, who's going to say they need this all the way inside of them? Where's this going to fit? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Where's it going to fit? And then another thing, this is what I measured this yesterday, 8 inches. Some people are saying that they need 8 inches. Also, girth matters. You know, we're talking about, this is only 2 inches? Lord gracious. Because this looks huge. You know, and it actually could be a deterrent. People will be like, where are you going to put that? Well, not in me. So, to talk about my own personal experience before I end off this video, I've had both ends of the spectrum. I had somebody whose penis was so, oh my gosh, his penis was so large. It was like, I thought I was gonna puke. It was just too much. It was too much. And then also, not to get extra personal, but you know, when I talked about it hitting all of the areas on the inside, his penis was large, and upon insertion, I climaxed. But I mean, it's great to be able to climax. First of all, the climax happened too soon, and then, Lord, I had to endure that penis until it was his turn to climax. So I was like, oh my God, it was too much. It was too much. And I've had a mate who was probably about 4. If this is 4 inches, he was probably about 4.5 inches, and there was some tremendous benefit to his smaller penis, because we could do it longer. We could do it in different positions without me feeling like he was going to rupture my spleen, you know, and a whole host of other things. So, you know, it really depends. And I had a better connection with this person, with the smaller person, I had a better connection than the larger person. So therefore, I was more moist. I provided more natural lubrication, etc. Not only that, oral sex was a much better experience with the person with the smaller one. Lord of mercy. We're going to talk about this in a whole video. But I really didn't want to get too personal because I don't want people soliciting. I don't want unsolicited emails about me and what I'm doing. You worry about the woman in your life. You work with her. Okay? So on that note, don't forget to subscribe to my videos. There's a button up here for you to subscribe. I'm your love guru. I talk about relationships and love, specifically how to love yourself. And I don't want men who have smaller penises to feel any any self-consciousness, because it's not all about the size, especially not for women. If you're in a gay community, that's another story. That's a whole topic in and of itself, because men are not as forgiving as women are, So subscribe to my videos here. All of my links are going to be below, even the link from my skincare line. Come over to that site. Come to Facebook, facebook.com/TonyaTko show. Find me on Twitter, twitter.com/TonyaTko. On Instagram, it's @TonyaTko. And that's Tonya, that's right, with an O, Tonya, an A at the end. TONYA, TKO. And I'm everywhere. Come to TonyaTko.com. And I will see you guys later. Let's hug. Let's hug, everybody. I love you guys very much. Hug, 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 hug. Oh, goodness. Now go out there. Oh, that might have been too much. Go out there and love each other. But most importantly, love yourself. Understand that you are good enough. Whatever it is that you have, you are good enough just as you are. And as long as you're willing to satisfy that woman, you're going to be okay. A bulk of the women that I asked said that they wouldn't even mind if they got that feeling, that itch on the inside, that craving for something real deep penetration, that they wouldn't mind if their partner used a dildo on them, a dildo larger than his penis. She said, well, most of the girls said that they would not feel any lesser of him. If anything, they would feel closer to him because he's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that she gets off. So keep that in mind, and keep it popping out there. Okay, go to the store, talk to your partner. Communication is key. And on that note, we're out. TonyaTko, and I'm out. Peace. Oh, comment below. Rate the video, pass it around. Don't be afraid to watch it again and again if you missed out on certain points. And I guess that's pretty much it. Stay up with me. TonyaTko, and I'm out. Peace.